Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee with Lisa. I'm Spiritual Coach Lisa Hopp. It is Sunday, September 17th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new, please be sure to check out my website at lisahopp.com. I'm also on Instagram under Spirit Teacher Lisa Hopp, and I'm on Facebook too, a business account under, I believe it is Lisa M. Hopp, Spiritual Coach and Medium. I probably should write that down, but I always forget to. Welcome, and for those of you who listen every week, I appreciate you so much. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. I would appreciate it so much, and comment. That's appreciated as well. So I had a little bit of a mind boggle today about what to speak about. Usually the universe inspires me of what is the timely topic to talk about. They were a little quiet this morning. So I waited until I had breakfast, had some time to have my coffee to rest and to ponder, and I came up with this topic. Forgiveness. It's a huge one. And what's so important to know is that forgiveness is not for others, it's for you. And it releases the load. So that's the topic today, is going through the work of forgiveness so that you can release, so you can let go, so that you can live with freedom, with a lightness of being. And it will open up doors for you, for wealth, for love, for health, because there'll be nothing tying you down. There'll be nothing dragging you down, because you'll be good to go. Now, being someone who's a empath and who can feel very much with that empathy, forgiveness of another is not letting them off the hook. It's letting you off the hook. You don't even have to tell them. Matter of fact, most of the time, perhaps you shouldn't even tell them, because it's like a proclamation. And it's not for them, it's for you. Will they feel it in some way at some point? Yes. But first and foremost, it's about your mental, emotional, spiritual health. And what's so important as well to keep in mind is that forgiveness has to be granted when the person hasn't done a thing to really deserve it. And I personally know about that just as much as you would. Oftentimes the ones who do us the most harm are the ones that will never really do anything to make up for it. And you have to be all right with that. You have to come to some acceptance with that in order to generate forgiveness. But also I want to say to you that sometimes forgiveness is needed for those who honestly didn't know what they were doing, didn't mean it. And I find that a lot in my life. People have no consciousness about what their actions mean. They just don't see it. They don't get it. It boggles my mind. As someone who really does understand people, for the most part, people can throw me. They can boggle my mind. They don't think like I do, perhaps. Perhaps they don't think like you do. So you have to take that into account as well. People see things from their own perceptions. And what is very important to do as much as we can is to not judge them from our perceptions. Though yes, in this real world of physical six senses, it can be really hard. It can be incredibly hard not to judge another. But it is necessary in order to come to a place of forgiveness and a place of inner peace. And that's what forgiveness is all about. It is a place of inner peace. of knowing that you didn't deserve what happened, and that you deserve the freedom and the wholeness and the peace of forgiving someone, and perhaps forgiving a situation. But that would always also include another person or people. I'm learning because I'm a student of this earth, just as you are, that people are where they are, and my duty is to make sure that I'm all right. You see, the more that I'm all right, and the more that you're all right, the more you have to give, the more you can serve, the more that life rewards you. I'm looking forward to a time coming up where because I've been going through some things, where I'm fully back and I'm more out there, not as quiet, even though I have a podcast, more outspoken, maybe more blunt, more expressive. I went to say more honest, but I'm honest. Perhaps more expressive of that honesty in a way that I haven't been before. But I always, myself, and perhaps you do too, because if you listen to this podcast, you're most likely a good person who tries to be kind and tends to be drawn to the spiritual. I'm always concerned that honesty can be brutal. And I never want to harm another because of honesty, but at the same time, I can't be dishonest. So sometimes, and maybe you go through this, sometimes I hope someone doesn't ask my opinion, because then I'll have to give it. And I don't want to. It's just who I am. I feel like it's important to tell the truth. But sometimes people aren't ready to hear the truth. Or maybe the unintentional tone that it's given. Or perhaps the intentional tone that it's given. And so that's a risk in our communication on this earth as we communicate with our voice, rather than how it is in heaven, where we communicate with telepathy, with our minds, where tone doesn't get in the way. I'm going to cough. Excuse me. So, how do you forgive? Well, the first part I already explained is that you understand that everybody has their own perceptions, their own beliefs. They're in their own story. They're in their own place. And a lot of the time, they don't mean it. But even if they do mean it, they're still coming from their own place. They're coming from what they're going through, what was done to them. They're kind of projecting their world onto you. But you don't have to take on their world. You don't have to take it personally. However, it is all right to say, I don't want that in my life. I don't want that type of behavior. Or I do want, better yet, a certain type. It is important to focus on what you do want, not on what you don't want. But to be aware when you don't receive what you do want. It's an awareness, and it is a request out to energy around you to say, I notice this, and I want this. I find that it doesn't make things better to always tell someone if they have let you down, if they haven't come through, because they're in their place. And they're not really, most of the time, going to do anything about it. And if they do, they often make it about themselves. Now it's not all the time. I'm not necessarily negative about these situations. I tend to expect and appreciate when people do give their best, when they try, and some people will. We live in cycles, though. I know of someone in my past that did not come through, completely backed away. And then they made such a point of their own choice, their own fruition, to make up for that time. I mean, almost to a point that I thought to myself, is it overboard? But then, years later, another moment came up, and they backed away again. So that's who they are. But they don't really want to be that aspect of themselves. And that's all right. That's actually a good thing. That they tried at that moment to fix what was done, even if they slipped again. And that's what we're all doing here. We're all trying to do our best. And we will mess up. And most of the time, as I said, when we mess up, we don't mean it. It's just our stories and how our stories have impacted us. Generally, if we're let down, we will either never let someone down or we'll let down because it's what we've received. It's what we're used to. Sometimes we just miss something. It's all right you should love yourself. It's all right to love yourself. As the human that sometimes doesn't get it perfect, it's so important to do that. What we shouldn't do, and I use the word shouldn't when I know that I believe it was Louise Hay, the great Hay House publisher, that said, never use the word shouldn't. Because it's kind of telling someone how to be, I suppose. In its own way, it's judging. But I will use the word shouldn't right now and say that what we shouldn't do is allow others to make us feel a certain way about ourselves. And I've been there. I've been there where I questioned my own value as a person because of how others treated me. And they would have made it and have about themselves. So I knew that was not the correct way to be. I knew that my value is not measured by how another treats me, but how I see myself, and the knowing that I am unconditionally loved and adored by a higher energy. So we shouldn't demand of another to treat us a certain way, at the same time not accepting being treated a certain way. It's all right to back up. It's all right to back off. It's all right to say what you want to the energy and to know that it will bring it. We manifest every day. You're manifesting right now listening to me. Manifest what you truly want, not what you don't want. I am manifesting great things in my life currently because I've gotten an energy within to do that through my life experience. And that's why we're here. to have this life experience, to grow, to expand. So we also shouldn't demand of another to treat us a certain way. And I probably just said that twice. Because you can't make another change. You can only change what you know you deserve, what you allow. You can only change you because you want to. Another will never change for you. Even as I told you the story before, someone wanted to change and then couldn't entirely. So, there is forgiveness that is necessary. And it's not even a large forgiveness. It is more a, oh, okay, they still are who they are. All right. But action. Also under the shouldn't category. Don't hold grudges. It comes back on you. Don't walk around this world angry. Try not even to be sad. Go towards the laughter. Go towards loving in the moment. Go towards joy. It's so important. When you feel those lower energies, and unforgiveness is a huge one. And with my clients, it's the largest thing they deal with. When you are living in unforgiveness, you are harming yourself, every area of your life, including health. It is not our human fault. It's not a you deserve it, you had it coming, you asked for it. At the same time, it's important to understand how powerful we are. When we get a health diagnosis, it is also coming of us, not to us. What are we meant to learn? How are we meant to grow? What emotions have we been storing? Has it been anger? Has it been rage? Has it been a deep depression? Most of the time it's from anger and rage. It is so important to work on it, even if it's small baby steps, to chip it away. And the more you do it, the more you come out a victor. The more you come out a major manifester. There are blue zones, they're called, around this world. And I may very well do a podcast just on that. There's certain areas of this world. One's in Greece, one's in Italy, one's in Japan, one is even in California, where a lot of their citizens, a good majority, live to over 100, but over 100 with vitality. And they've learned the keys to life. They're active. They don't get up and go to a gym. They walk with their day-to-day activities. Maybe they have their own gardens. Most of these blue zones will also drink a good glass of wine every day. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that you have to drink. Most, I think all actually, eat meat as a celebration rather than a day-to-day life. But most importantly, they have laughter. They have joy. And while they may have stress, their stress is limited more by these other activities. They have community. They sit around with friends and laugh and talk. And they make a point to do that frequently. They have a strong faith. Those in Italy will walk up a hill to go to church, and that helps them. They generally have the key to life, and they're a joy to behold because of their laughter, the joy on their face, their wisdom. We can learn from them. They sit on the floor to eat because they have to get up. So they bend their bodies more. They're there for each other, a community again. If one of them needs something, the community rallies together. Like a village. They're a village. We're all supposed to be a village to each other. We know that inherently, but we can get caught up in things that are false, things that we make larger than they are. I've learned to ask myself, does this really matter? Or will this matter next week or a year from now? Does it? The small stuff. Yesterday I started to stress out. I had to put a dress on, and I was stressing out over a tie on the dress. And I just asked myself, does this really matter? No, it doesn't. Figure this out. I started to sweat physically and everything. Oh my goodness. And as soon as I said, does this really matter? I thought of another way to tie it. It came right to me. And it looked better than it would have in the first place. Those aha moments come when we step back and can look at life more lightheartedly. Still coughing. I apologize. I've had a bit of a cough for like a month. And it's just a tool to help me take care of myself more. So, when you go into those moments where things are large, where every little thing matters so large, does it? If you are in heaven one day, and I do this too, when I'm in heaven and I'm looking, well, earth's around us, but I'm looking down on earth, that moment when I couldn't tie a tie, does that really matter? That moment when I got news I didn't want, does that matter anymore? Will those bills matter? Will who likes you and doesn't like you really matter? No, because you'll know. You'll know you're all right. You'll know you're taken care of. You'll know you're home, where you're unconditionally loved, adored, where you're receiving mercy, where you're comforted and supported, so that bill won't matter. And you'll know that everyone on earth is all right and will be all right, and that you can be with them whenever you want. And you'll probably figure out that people didn't mean it. And when they did, it was because of their own pain and not anything to do with yours. And you'll no longer feel fear because you'll know it was all for nothing. That worry was all for nothing. That the stress was always yours to contain. You'll know that as much as you can step back and know that no matter what, you're always going to be all right. And forgive. Forgive those who harmed you because of their own pain, because of their own unhappiness. And feel compassion and feel love as much as you can, or just feel understanding. That's so important, to feel understanding, to know it. And then, with joy, with excitement, with positive energy, ask for what you deserve. And then have it. And don't feel bad about it. Because there's so many good people who feel bad about asking for what they deserve. You can have it all. When you ask for something, it is yours. So ask, and then receive it joyfully, and never apologize for it or play it down. Just live in the moment of joy and happiness and lightness and freedom and peace. That's so important. So important. So today, who do you need to forgive? And yes, one of those is probably you. Because we're human. Forgive. And it may be a work in progress. You may do it for decades trying to forgive. But whatever you can do, it will bring you peace. And peace is priceless. And change is good. And also want to say this as well. The minute that you do forgive someone who is still on earth, really forgive them. You'll probably see signs they know it. They'll want to be around you more. They may say words. They may give you what they couldn't give you before. It's energy. It can be expected, but forgiveness should be done without expectations. Because yes, as I started this, by saying to you, sometimes we don't hear the words we deserve. We don't get that resolution that we want or deserve. And I'm also told to tell you today how important healing is. Heal, whatever that takes, even if it means solo, going and doing something alone. Put yourself first. Do the healing. You will receive grace. You will receive blessings. You will receive love. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that helped. You're on my mind. I'm sending you positive thoughts, healing. Trust in the universe. It does want to serve you. Serve yourself. And yes, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And check out my website, lisahaupt.com, Instagram, business page on Facebook. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed Sunday and a wonderful week. Until next time.